yourself.
I am Alex Rowe, and I play Ben Pownell, who is a marine biologist.
I am Ian Verdun, and I play Xander McClure, who is a deep sea fisherman. Fisherman, yeah.
Not diver.
Not diver.
Okay.
Fisherman. I
Awesome.
fish. I get on boats, and I put nets in the ocean, and I take fish from the ocean.
All right.
That's what
Does
I do.
everybody have to have beautiful eyes to be in this series?
It is a rule.
Apparently.
Let me guess, you're all mermaids, right? Or mermen.
Well,
I thought so.
surprises.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Well, for those of us that were in the panel, we got to see a sneak peek at the first episode. But for those that didn't get to see it, what's sort of the premise of the show? You did explain your characters, but
So it's set in a
It's satin.
set in a small town called Bristol Cove, and it's home to the legend of mermaids. For like, there's a folklore there for like hundreds of years, and it's basically a dark twist on the mermaid legend, where one of these creatures comes back, and they're looking for someone.
Yeah, I think it's like a good example of where lore and myth and legends, especially when it comes to these creatures that are, you know, so ubiquitous across the globe, where it would meet reality. You know, like if there were really these creatures in the ocean, what would they really be like, and where would those myths prove true, and where would those myths prove false? So I feel like it's like an interesting journey to kind of discover this mythological creature in a very new and I really think original way, because I haven't seen what we're doing anywhere. No, I really haven't.
Which is exciting for
Yeah.
us to be a part of, obviously.
Definitely.
To be a part of the first of some sort.
That theme of, you know, man versus the ocean, or humans versus the ocean, I mean, it's very pertinent right now.
Absolutely.
What a great way to venture into that.
Yeah, my character is a marine biologist, and he's very much a part of conservation in his area. And what's drawing these mermaids closer is the way that we're overfishing. And we find that out later, and it's kind of suggested, so I'm not giving too much away. But it definitely makes that comment of like how we're treating our oceans and how long we'll be able to sustain ourselves.
What I love about it though is it's really not such a like because none of those, you know, environmentalism and all those other things, they aren't like black and white, cut and dry issues. You know, they're very complicated, very complex things with very, very different perspectives. And I think that, you know, with us, with our two characters, we're coming at this completely like mythological, crazy story with two very different perspectives. And from one side, which is I definitely believe in, is just conservation and protection, environmental protection. And I think my character as a fisherman, you know, he's not even really considering those things because there's so many things in front of his face that is so, he doesn't have the privilege of being able to worry about how his job affects the environment, because he's got to eat, you know, they've got a family to provide for, they have very pertinent issues that have nothing to do with the environment, and it's like as you can see this whole kind of battle of opinions is kind of existent in this like piece of drama, which is cool because ultimately it's like a story about like this new creature that comes onto land, and like we're discovering this character discovering the world for the first time. But then as a sideline to all of this stuff, there are these questions and things that are brought up, which is cool. Yeah, because it becomes like a moral question in essence, and like, do the characters realize that it's a moral question? You know, even though the audience may realize it is, do they know it is, and do they disregard it as a moral question? And it's a lot of stuff to play with. It's a lot of great questions that under the guise, and not guise, but like under the auspices of, you know, a genre television show, which is great and fun and awesome, to be able to talk about things that are very real and now.
And as you can tell, we're like in the middle of shooting right now, so it's all kind of like in our brains,
inundated,
which is this is probably a good time to interview us, because we're like
next year.
Where'd you film it?
Vancouver.
Awesome. Love it. Oh, that's perfect for this. Yeah.
Yeah, which is where Greenpeace launched stuff from and stuff, which is
And it's just a beautiful environment.
Well, it's funny that you were talking about how your two characters have two different views, because it seemed like they used to be best friends, but something came between that, because I know your character said, oh, it's just like old times.
Yeah.
So what, will we get to see what happened there? Like any flashbacks, anything like that?
I mean,
it's suggested. It's like there's moments where it gets talked about.
It gets talked
But
about.
I think it's like a universal thing. These people that like grew up together and the bonds that are created as you're going through these formative years that are kind of like unbreakable. And you might walk away and leave them for a little while, but they're always there. Like I'm in my mid to late 20s.
Mid to late.
And like I've got bonds with friends from back home that like will just never go away. So that's there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I definitely identify with, because I've moved around a lot as a kid, and I had friendships that were very, very, very solid as a child, and I just grew into a different person. They grew into a different person with different interests and, you know, different influences, and then you form in different opinions, and you kind of start to grow into different directions, even though that kernel of your friendship is something that you try to hold on to, and you try to like, oh, it was so good, I remember this time, and it was so worth it, it was such a fulfilling friendship. But sometimes just time and age and experience really just sets you on different paths, and I think that's something that we are trying as characters, trying to really deal with, to find that center again.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a great one? We have one left. Where are you in the production? How much more do you have to shoot?
I'm shooting episode 7 right now. 10 total.
Ooh, awesome.
Yeah.
Back to Vancouver when?
Monday. Sunday, tomorrow. Tomorrow, yeah. No, not Monday.
Well, what a terrible last question. I apologize.
It's okay. It's so much fun.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Yeah, right.